Welcome to Marvel Champions Podcast, a podcast about Marvel Champions, the card game. I am your host, Scott, and with me as always, my co-host, Ryan.
Yep, here we are, thinking that we had already recorded for the week, and something comes across our feed needing our attention.
That's right, Ryan. When I started the day, I was like, maybe there'd be a release today. It's Thursday. And then, lo and behold, boom, there it was. And I sent you a bunch of stuff to take a look at. Were you surprised when you got my text?
I was actually thinking they were going to wait till next month.
Oh, so you're thinking like whole next month, not just next week?
Well, because Magneto comes out, what, in October? Or sorry, November, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking they were going to do like an in-between Nightcrawler and Magneto, throw an article down.
Makes sense, right? September and then October. Okay.
Yep, but I guess not. Oh, well.
No, they're ready. Well, based off the article, it does sound like they're dragging it out a little bit. We'll get to some of that. So, sounds like we'll get more news articles. So that's a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, so they have finally revealed the box, like more of what's in the box and the actual box itself for the new expansion, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. What do you think about the box art, Ryan?
I actually think it's not too bad. I think it's very black and purple.
Okay.
Because
I was going to say black and red, but okay, I feel you.
Well, and some yellow. I think purple, yellow, and black are the main colors of the box, because you got like Maria Hill and Nick Fury. They're in their outfits that are black, and then you got all the AIM stuff and MODOK, and that's all the purple and yellow.
Oh, you know what? I just noticed while we were looking at that. Look at the top right of the box. There's like a silhouette of some guy in a cowboy hat or some type of hat.
Looks like a lady and a guy.
Yeah, with like a little bun up in her hair. Huh? I didn't notice that first time.
Well, the more you know. But what I did find interesting about this one is that it only appears to have one villain on it. Normally there's a couple of villains on the box, but not this one.
There was one other box that was kind of like that. Is it, because I know what you're saying, like sometimes there'll be like 2 or 3 villains.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll feel very kind of thematic to the campaign in the box, but you are right. It's very AIM and MODOK centric, huh?
Yep. I feel like the third villain in the box get a lot of highlights. So Juggernaut got the highlight on the box. MODOK seems to be the third one in this box. Who was Apocalypse was the third villain that was on the main box of the last one.
Okay, so technically, if you go off Mutant Genesis, Magneto is on there, and then there are Sentinels. There's a Sentinel on that box, so, you know, you could argue.
Gotcha. Interesting. I can't think of the other ones.
Okay, Mysterio? It's got Red Skull and Zola on your first one, and then you got a bunch of the Guardians. And the Sinister Motive's got a bunch of the Sinister Six and Venom and Sandman and
Okay.
Yeah, I guess it's all over the place.
Was the other one. Yeah.
Yeah, but you got Ebony Maw.
Yeah.
Black Order. You got tons of those guys.
Thanos was the third villain.
Technically,
spoiler alert. So yeah. I think that's a trend. Third villain is the main like box art.
Well, here's the thing: the Red Skull, he's like dead center, but that was like the first box, so I guess they had to go, hard on that one.
They haven't quite figured it out yet.
Right. So, all right, cool. Well, let's start with the heroes. Let's give the heroes. Geez, I meant the villains. Let's give the villains some love first.
This article was all about the villains.
Yeah. So we had 4 out of the 5 revealed. So that's cool. They said we'll get the 5th one to you at some point in time.
Wink,
and it looks so far looks pretty good.
Yeah. It seems to have some interesting scenarios with these 4. not your traditional beat 'em ups, which I like. I like a little variety.
Yeah, from the two, at least two of them, you don't have your stereotypical, race to the end with hit points. They've got a lot of extra things going on,
It
which will
looks
be
like
good for
3
those
of
people
them.
that like that story-driven gameplay. This may
Yeah.
lean into that.
Yeah, out of the 4 that they shown, only the first one has actually a stage number. The rest have stage letters.
Oh, that's right. I think about Thunderbolts. Yeah, that one we'll talk about, but that one's unique too, which is they're definitely, keeping it fresh.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's get into it. Let's talk about your favorite villain, Black Widow.
Yeah, it was interesting to see Black Widow out there. Like you said, I like Black Widow the hero, her preparation cards, and it looks like they're going to kind of flip that on its head and use the similar concept with Black Widow the villain.
Yeah, we only get, well, I guess we get a few of them. So we get like Stun Net, which is interesting, and we get Acrobatics, just
Yeah,
not
and
in
I
the fun way.
think the big thing with her, she's got the preparation cards. I think it says every one of her cards, and she's got a 23 card kit total, is all going to have that preparation kind of bottom half.
Yeah, there's
And
gonna be a
some of
ton.
those are kind of rough, which I
Yeah.
like. That's one thing I do like. Like it completely changes what you're expecting to happen, right? So for acrobatics, for example, she's got the forced interrupt. When she's attacked, you remove one threat from the main scheme, and then you discard the top card and you resolve the preparation ability. So acrobatics, if all that happens, you prevent all the damage from this attack. And if it's an expert mode, you deal that damage back to yourself or the attacking character as the damage. So if you're like saving up one of your big attack cards, that could be brutal, having to like pay all that and then for it to do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
It can be
That'd be rough.
quite brutal. I find it interesting how the ability almost kind of lures you into like, hey, this isn't that bad because you remove a threat from the main scheme. So it's like helping you. But then you could potentially draw into a preparation, which could really, it sounds like, ruin your turn.
Right. Which I like as a player, like just that like unknown. Because right, you're having to make those player choices. Like, do I save this big attack? Because the one thing they did state in the article that if there is no threat on the main scheme, it does not trigger.
Oh yeah, because you have to complete it to do the arrow.
There's a cost arrow, right?
Yeah. So if you're a big justice player and you like having that scheme very low, you might not be able to attack her.
Yeah.
Which I think is a very interesting dynamic.
I like the aim grunt. He's just kind of like there.
Classic aim grunt.
And his preparation's cool. I like that. You put him into play, engage with you, and then that attack that you were gonna hit the Black Widow with, he takes it.
He's a
he
meat
or
shield.
she, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's a fun card. It's a 1/1, very little attack, but does have high health and has guard. And then, of course, that preparation part. But I like the concept. It's not an annoying minion in the traditional sense that we've seen, where it has like a when revealed stun all your characters. But it's just like, hey, I'm Jim, and I just clocked in, and now you're punching me in the face.
That's what like part of me is. I was like reading and looking at some of these like aim cards, and we'll get to another one in the next scenario. But there was this MODOK TV series that was just like it was not serious at all. It was more comical.
Mm-hmm.
And I just picture like all these aim people being just like these random like NPC funny, just random people.
Yeah. It should be fun to see if it capitalizes on that kind of fun aspect of it.
Yeah. All right, Black Widow. She's a 2-scheme, 1 attack in her first stage, 12 hit points. So looks like she's more of a schemer rather than a direct kind of brute force kind of villain.
Yeah, it sounds like she's gonna just kind of let the preparations do its damage, extend the game, try to thwart out. So
Yeah, try and disrupt what you're trying to do.
yeah, sounds like it might be a fun first scenario. I don't know if there's anything else that goes along with it, or if it's that's it.
I mean,
But
stereotypically, your first one's pretty straightforward. So
yeah, well, you would think so, and then you have like Sabretooth
and Sandman.
and Sandman. But I think overall, I think this is probably a good, solid place for a number one villain in a box.
All right, Batroc, the Leaper.
This one I was not expecting.
Yeah, I don't. That must either be like a new art style for him, because I don't think I've ever seen him in that kind of brown. It's very brown cards.
Robin Hood style.
Yeah, something like that. Like Green Arrow. He's the brown arrow.
He's the brown.
The brown arrow.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Let's see what his deal is.
Yeah, so he's an A side, and I'm sure there's like a B side, maybe for expert. I don't know if he flips. I do have to admit I haven't read everything about the article, so
Ryan.
so I apologize if I say something you're like, yeah, that was in the article, duh.
Did you read? Yeah.
So my bad.
Okay, so his thing, I think you're right. I think A is going to be your standard, B is going to be your expert. His whole thing is force response after Batroc attacks. Place one threat on alert level, which we should probably transition over that here in a second. And then forced interrupt. When Batroc would be defeated, you reset his hit points to 8 instead. Then remove 6 threat from the main scheme. And he has a set 8. It's not per player, it's just 8 hit points.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because normally, isn't it always per player?
No, I want to say there's one other that's not a per. Is it Magog maybe? One of the Collector 2. I could be wrong, but it's not a
you're right.
foreign
Maybe
concept.
Collector 2.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Okay. Well, let's so alert level. It looks like it's an environment, and there's a low, like treated as low, and I guess there's another one that's treated as high. So I'm guessing it's the flip side.
Right. I would guess you have a low side and a high side.
Yeah. And so what it does is if there is at least 4 threat, 4 per player here, remove all threat from here and flip this card. Force response after a character is defeated, except by consequential damage, place 1 threat here. And then hero action, spend 1 resource of any type, remove 1 threat from here. And I was going to just add to it. It says when a character is defeated, I think the article clarifies that it is any character.
Right. With a character. Right. So what do you think about that concept of thematically trying to create that perception of sneaking through this facility?
I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good thought to explore with this.
I like it. So the embassy guard, it does talk about the high side. So he's a 1, 2, 3 guard, vulnerable, new keyword. We'll talk about that in just a second. But it says if alert level is on high side, this card gains surge. When defeated, place 1 threat on the alert level. So I like that. I like how you could just, if you wanted to be completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Just kind of wild going through the embassy. You're going to have consequences that can make the game harder. Yeah. Or if you can kind of lean into that stealth, you kind of keep the game a little easier for you for longer, I would assume.
Yeah, if you're willing to manage the game state, you can keep it on that low. But if you're just going guns blazing, I don't know, maybe if you flip it to high, it might like be really punishing. So kind of like a counter to the play type of a rush hero. So I'd be interested to see how that works out.
And because it says if there's 4 per player threat here, remove all threat from here, flip this card, goes to high. And who knows if you can flip it back to low, is there something on the other side that allows you to, or if you're flipped to high, is that it? The alarm goes off and it's just off. So who knows?
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Vulnerable, that's a new keyword. Discard this character if it is stunned or confused. And they did specify in the article that if you do use vulnerable, it does not count towards being defeated for alert level. So it would not place. So it's almost like a stealth takedown.
Okay. Interesting. Another thing that I noticed is the main scheme. It looks like this is more set up to be like Collector 2 and Sinister 6, where you're trying to get the threat. It starts off with a lot of threat and you're trying to get the threat to 0 to advance to the next stage.
I want to say he's got multiples, maybe.
Of main schemes?
Batroc does not
at least
getting
2.
up. Each time you knock down, your goal is to instead clear enough threat off the main scheme to advance to the next stage. Do that enough times and rescue enough captives.
So I guess we're trying to get some captives too.
It's almost like a combo, like you've got to get to the end and have so many rescued captives to win the game.
Yeah, almost like a mixture of
Hella a little bit. Gotta have Odin.
Well, I was gonna say like Collector 2, because you're going through the stage trying to get to a place, and a little bit of the, I'd say maybe not On the Run, the first Marauders, where you get the Morlocks slash kind of the Sentinel slash crossbones.
Okay.
Taskmaster, where you can get those captives.
Sure. Which I think thematically it fits, right? You're infiltrating some type of building. You're either going up or down levels to progress.
Yeah, and as you get captives, it looks like you can exhaust them. Yes, as hero action, exhaust a rescued captive. Remove 1 threat per player from the main scheme. So they help you cut through that main scheme.
And I would imagine you've got to keep them alive. So that's kind of where they built that in. So they can actually help progress the game.
Yep.
Because I imagine if you don't have enough when you get to the end of the race, probably lose.
Agreed.
All right, Batroc. Cool. I guess let's jump into MODOK. He's got a lot going on.
Yeah, he does. He's an interesting one. He's really ugly.
Darren. Okay.
Darren, that's right. All right, so MODOK. He is also an A side, and I'm assuming the B side might be Expert, or does he flip?
No, he's another one that has just a set hit points of 10.
Okay. He does have set hit points of 10. So I guess in this one, you are finding the missing Sarah Garza, an inhuman captive locked away somewhere. And he, I guess, is a shield agent, has a card, a part of the scenario. So it looks like you're going to be rescuing her. And there's holding cells, and it's all over the place.
Yeah, this one, it looks like it's almost kind of like you get down to after you beat Batroc, you get down to some level of MODOK's lab or something, and he's got a bunch of experiments going down. You're trying to rescue people and release people and get out of Dodge.
Yeah, I guess the best way to describe it is you're basically just trying to get through and rescue people, and then once you rescued them enough, you can kill them. It sounds like
you meet requirements A, B, and C, and then defeat MODOK, and you win the game.
You win it. But he's got Retaliate 1. Ouch.
Yeah.
That is rough.
Let's see what else. It has the holding cell and talks about those lock counters. Defeat him, you get to remove lock counters. You remove enough lock counters, it looks like you open the cells, you save the people, the game progresses. The other one I like is the Adaptoid and the environments, it looks like, that go along with it. So I do like that, where it's going to kind of make the game play a little different and feel different based on whatever environment's out there at the time.
Yeah. So like one of them is the flying upgrade environment. So each Adaptoid gets +1 scheme, gains Insight 1, and gains the aerial trait, which generally doesn't mean a whole lot, but maybe it finally will.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting. I guess I'm not sure how many are going to be in this deck, but I'm guessing there's going to be quite a few. I'm wondering if
you're talking about Adaptoids.
Yeah,
I would imagine at least 4.
I'm starting to feel like this one might be a mixture between Zola, because Zola had the Retaliate and he had a lot of the minions and trying to buff them. And then I wonder what else this would be across. I mean, I feel like it's more of a story. Like you talked about earlier, a lot of these have like a story element to them.
Right. Which I'm hoping helps with pacing, right? You kind of make decisions to know when to progress from the first half of the game into that second half, that climax of the scenario, and then it's like we got to run to the finish.
Yeah,
I like that.
I agree.
All right, anything else with MODOK? I think like this one and the last one. I guess we're not gonna know more until we play him.
Yeah, I'm curious how it all shapes up, because we didn't get a main scheme for MODOK, I don't believe.
Right, like what happens if his main scheme is one of those where if it threats out, something bad happens, like a Juggernaut.
Yeah.
Or is there a threshold that you can't hit?
Yeah. It should be interesting. Different kind of feel. Mixture between balancing, saving the allies versus lots of minions and attacking, trying to get around this Retaliate. I feel bad for like Jubilee.
Yeah.
All right.
The Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts. Oh.
Yeah. What did you call them in that one episode where you kept doing it wrong? I had to edit it, so it was like my voice when you would talk. Thunderballs. You kept saying Thunderballs.
No, I didn't.
You said something like that.
I kept saying the Black Bolts, I think.
Oh, Black Bolt or something like that. Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Maybe not. I can't remember. But yeah, it was one of those. I couldn't say Thunderbolts for some reason.
You remember like right at the end of the episode.
Well, you told me you're like Thunderbolts, and I'm like, oh my goodness! This whole time I've been calling him like Steve's band.
Steve. Yeah.
Yeah. So this one, I liked how they said it's not technically the villain scenario, but it kind of is for the box. It sounds like.
Yeah, it makes it sound it's almost to an extent like the On the Run. You've got the main villain, but then you've got all these kind of big minions that are, standing in your way between you and the main villain, Citizen V.
Yeah, this is some of it's probably the highest health points on a minion that we've seen.
Yeah,
I think the highest has been like the dragon from Mojo's encounter set.
Yeah, the Watch.
I think that one's like at 10 or 12.
What's the one? Is it Keeper? What's the one from Red Skull? What's the big robot?
Oh, yeah, you're right. He has 10, right?
Yeah, he's up there.
Is he 5 per player or is he 10 per player?
I don't know.
You're right. That one's pretty big.
And the Challenger in Magog, I think, has some decent health.
He does. He has like 7.
without going and looking at. Those are a couple I remember.
Yeah, but yeah, this is kind of it. You're right. It's not technically the multi-villain. I guess Citizen V is the villain, and he's got an A side. So again, I think he's gonna be like an A side for easy, B side for expert. But it looks like these minions are gonna be like just either popping up, or I'm not sure how it quite works. But you got to get through them. They're like a second villain.
So some of the like cool things with it is if you look at the main scheme, well, all those Thunderbolt minions gain guard. So you can't attack Citizen V directly. So you've either got to do non-attack damaging cards.
Yep.
Or overkill. And then we'll talk about kind of why you don't want to do some of that too early here in a second. We talk about Citizen V. But on his main scheme, it says, after a player attacks a Thunderbolt minion, that minion engages that player. So these are going to be jumping from player to player in a multiplayer game.
I like
and
that.
And then the environment helps heal them. And they're always kind of like tagging in and tagging out based off of that environment. So at the end of the round, it takes and looks at like who's the most damage. They tag out, go get healed up, and swap back out with the new Thunderbolt until you get enough defeated. You then have just Citizen V to worry about.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I don't think I fully wrapped my head around it yet, but very interesting that it's different. So I'm not sure if it's like, is Citizen V gonna be? Is it gonna be like was it On the Run, where the villain, if there's a minion out, a Marauder minion, that it will just scheme. It won't attack. It'll just let the minion do the attacking.
Well, Ryan, let's find out. So he has a force to interrupt. When Citizen V would activate against you during step 2 of the villain phase. If you are engaged with a Thunderbolt minion, Citizen V does not activate and heals 4 damage instead.
Oh, yeah, I guess I could just read the card.
You can read. So then it makes it sound like these Thunderbolt minions are going to be the ones that are really dealing damage or scheming. And you're going to have to deal with their like forced responses or whatever their special thing is. We see a few of them here. Moonstone, Songbird, Radioactive Man, Mach 4. So. Interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, that is interesting. He's a director. He's just directing everything.
Right, he's like the leader of the Thunderbolts. And I haven't really read this comic and them, so I don't really know much about them.
Yeah, I feel like the Thunderbolts had a lot of like heroes or more popular villains that turned to the Thunderbolts. Am I wrong?
Say that again.
Am I thinking of someone different?
Say what you said again.
Isn't there a team of like Misfit?
So the little bit I do know is I think the Thunderbolts turn into like the Dark Avengers.
The new movie that's coming out, or the Marvel, the trailers that came out, it's the Thunderbolts, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's what I thought.
The Black Bolts. Yeah.
Yeah. The Black Bolts.
Yeah.
But like,
yes.
None of these minions. I've seen Radioactive Man, but all these other ones, I don't really know. I think I kind of know Songbird, but Moonstone, I don't know.
Moonstone. So
Mach 4, no, I don't know.
One thing they did say is that this is probably the scenario that has the most replayability, and in this wave, it's more than likely that they're going to have modular sets in some of the packs that are going to be elite Thunderbolts that you can take and sub in to this scenario.
Oh, like the heroes will have?
The heroes will have an encounter set that comes with them, like we've seen in the current wave. But they'll be specifically elite Thunderbolts that can be added to this scenario or any others.
Okay.
But it really impacts this one.
Interesting. Yeah, it says you randomly select, so I guess there's some variety that can happen on this one.
Yep. One just
Good.
random point though, like Mach 4 there, he's got 4 boost icons, and so does Songbird. So,
Yes, yes.
ouch.
It sounds like they probably all do, if I had
Yeah,
to
it's probably
guess.
true.
Yowks. So this will be interesting. I'm not sure how it quite works out, but it sounds like you gotta take these guys out as quick as possible because they will heal on you.
Yeah, they'll be swapping in and out, so it's not just going to be a quick, bam, bam, and it's done. It's gonna be a battle. I like it.
Yeah.
So that was scenario 4, Ryan. They said Villain 5 will come out at another time, but then they did go into a little bit of the campaign kind of shtick.
Yeah. I honestly have not read much of it, but from the words exposing the mole and evidence cards, it sounds like you're trying to figure out the mole.
Let's go to the mole. Yeah.
Yes, that would be kind of interesting to see how this works. Is it going to be it? Well, I just want to make sure that it doesn't bog down the actual gameplay. If it's a fun game, like mini game outside of the actual battles, I'm cool with that. But if it's like in the middle of battles, I've got to spend all this extra time to do something. The missions kind of hurt me a little bit on that, so I hope it's not in that way.
See, the other thing to think about is in previous interviews, it sounds like they're usually a year or two ahead in production or development, right? So they probably have developed this without the Age of Apocalypse feedback. So there is that to think about. So we'll see what this one's like.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, but I agree with you in that. Let's see, was it Guardians? You kind of got some I think Guardians and Sinister Motives were both this way. You got a couple decent things just for finishing, right? But then if you were able to do a couple extra things, it just made it a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I like that. Like I don't like where I've got to put too much energy and effort to go do this thing over here. But if you can incorporate it into the game in some way where it just feels part of the game. And I think some of the campaigns in the past, when they have like a player side scheme or some type of side scheme that comes in and you just deal with it as part of the game, I generally tend to like those a little more.
Yeah. I think we're both on the same page. We don't mind it being a part of the scenario if it's not a main aspect. And I felt like the missions kind of took too much from the scenarios. So if we can kind of back off a little bit and not make it so complicated, I think that would be
right
the sweet spot.
They do show 3 environments that are the Chief Medical Officer, Surveillance Officer, and Tactical Officer. So that's an interesting little thing that's going down there.
Yeah, setup. If there are 4 more secret counters here, 3 or more, instead in expert mode, flip this card. Remove a secret. So you're trying to get off those secret counters from there. So, I'm guessing these are silhouettes. You flip them and they're going to be actual images.
It says they're 2-sided cards.
Yeah.
In the article. So imagine if you can't keep things in check, it probably makes the game harder on you.
Yep. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna hold on to my thoughts until the end. So
okay. Well, I figure what we do is we talk about. They did confirm that Maria Hill and Nick Fury are the heroes. I don't think we'll go into them. Maybe we'll just mention their aspects, and we'll just wait till they release the article. We'll talk about it then.
Yeah. They didn't really give us much on them. So Maria Hill's got leadership. Nick Fury's got justice. The only thing we know about Maria Hill and like how she plays is it says her play style revolves around a unique position as director of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's it. It really doesn't give us much. So I'm still banking that it's going to be something where she can like help other players.
I think
Like
she's gonna boss everybody around.
that. Well, that's what I'm saying. I think I said in the other one. It's going to be one of those where like, hey, I get to play this card and it benefits you for your turn. So like she's like the ultimate multiplayer helper.
Also, like a support, like the ultimate support hero of the game.
Yes, because I'm thinking of like leadership. Not only does it have a ton of allies, because the ally aspect, but it has a lot of like help other players cards. Is it? I can't remember which one. There's one card that you can play and it gives people pluses to their basics.
Okay.
I think maybe that could be a lie.
No, I like what you said there. Like leadership really is that way. Like if she's a director of shields, you can play two ways, right? One is multiplayer, you're buffing up or doing something to benefit all the heroes around you. And if you're playing solo, maybe that is kind of scaled down into allies.
Yeah, it could be. I was just trying to think of it like, yeah, it doesn't make sense if you're playing solo if you have a card that says choose a player or that player and they get plus this, it doesn't help you. But if she had a card that's like choose a player, which means it could be yourself, they draw 2 cards and discard 1. Cool.
Oh, okay. It can cause them to do actions or something.
Exactly.
Like off-turn actions.
Yeah. They can choose a player. That player can play an attack event at 1 less cost or something like that. That'd be interesting.
Oh, that's like almost like a helicarrier or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's an idea.
And then
silhouettes, right? Or did you have more about?
Well, I was going to say Nick Fury. The only thing they give us on how he plays is it says he has a specialized stealth suit to do some impressive stunts. So I'm guessing it's an upgrade.
You would think.
And it does something.
It makes him invisible. It's a stealth suit. He's invisible.
I guess he's invisible, and he can do impressive stunts with it. So
he can do backflips, but nobody can see him do them because he's invisible.
That's right.
Yeah, I do like how they kind of leaned in on that. Like these aren't super powered heroes; these are just people with skills.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll make them like more technical to like play them. They're not just like I play this card that does 8 damage because I'm a superhero.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna be definitely a different aspect of game compared to what we've been with mutant heroes. Very powerful. Yep. Yeah. They showed the silhouettes. We're gonna get 4 new heroes along this wave. So
this one's been hot goss. A lot of people speculating. I've actually went down the Facebook comments and wrote down a bunch of what people are saying, which ones.
Okay.
There's some leading guesses out there. Personally, when I first saw these, I think maybe one of them I was like, I think I might know this one, but the rest I was like, I really don't know. So,
right.
do you want to make some guesses, or do you want to tell me what you think they are?
The article states something about being a mixture. Yeah, a mixture of Shield members and a couple of surprises.
Ooh.
So I don't know. I mean, if I think Shield people that we haven't got, that we should have probably gotten by now, Falcon and Winter Soldier probably like the 2 leading ones for me. The surprises, I guess, are the ones that I have no idea or really have any big thoughts about.
So, Bucky and Sam, Falcon and Winter Soldier, those were 2 very common ones on the Facebook page. People were thinking those 2 are almost a for sure. Some people have also brought up Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, but I think I'm in the camp that they're going to put those with the Defenders. So I personally don't think it is, but
I will
Who
say that
knows?
the third silhouette looks very kind of Luke Cage-esque silhouette-wise.
Almost like a hoodie on kind
Yeah,
of
like
thing.
kind of baggy hoodie, bald head.
Some other ones that have one that a lot of people are like 100% it's this person is, I think it's the first one that they're saying is Shuri.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that is.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure what their plan is. Is she gonna have like those little double guns from the
A
movies
little
where she has like the lion guns?
Panther pew pew pews. Yeah.
Pew pews. I either I had no idea she's a part of Shield, if that's
She's a
her,
surprise. She's part of a surprise, right?
or if she's part of the surprise. Yeah.
That's a theory.
Some other ones that have been thrown out: Sharon Carter, Quake, Mockingbird, Hellcat, and the one I've seen actually quite a few times that I wasn't originally guessing, but I can kind of see what they're saying is Black Cat,
Okay.
the Spider-Man Black Cat. So Felicia.
Felicia Harding. Okay.
Yeah, because I guess there's like
Interesting.
a cat on the shoulder,
I guess it could be.
or people are saying it's a cat.
It
I
could
thought
be.
it was the hand, like in the background, but I also kind of see like it being like a cat, kind of furry.
It's kind of on the back, and
I'm
typically
talking
these
about the fourth
silhouettes
one.
are
Yeah,
alter ego. So who knows?
yeah, that's true. Yeah, those are the leading um, guesses thus far, and I would say the community probably has at least 50% of that right.
Yeah, I mean, I think Winter Soldier and Falcon are a safe bet to make.
They are pretty Shield related, so
Yeah, it would
I
be
had
easy
no
to fill
idea
out that
that.
roster with them.
Yeah, I had no idea that Falcon was Shield related until we talked about it, and I looked on the internet, and apparently he like led a whole group for Shield.
Yeah.
So
So the other like nice thing that I was like, ooh, that is better than I had anticipated was the release date of February. So February 2025, just
ooh,
a few months away. And we won't have to
nice.
wait long after Magneto. So I
That
like it.
is exciting. We need to go ahead and get that on our calendar to do
Yeah.
our all day.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let me rephrase that. We need to go ahead and put that on the calendar to plan so someone can ruin
That's
that
right.
and we don't get to do it.
So it doesn't get to the game store in time on that Friday, and then we're
Yes.
just sitting there playing
Yep.
Magneto and Nightcrawler, Jubilee.
Yes.
All right, Ryan. We got a minute or so left. Give me any like hot takes or like big thoughts or disappointments. What you got?
Well, a lot of people, not well, I won't say a lot of people. I have seen some comments about, and we saw this when they kind of first teased it around Gen Con, is there are some that aren't very excited that it is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Kind of like I think a lot of people are hoping for the next big wave, like the Defenders or Fantastic Four, so some of these bigger heroes that people are waiting on. And so I think some people are down, but reading this article, I don't know, Shield's not necessarily my favorite, but the idea of like the secret agents and discovering the mole and just reading these villains that we have, I think these might be some pretty solid villains, a pretty solid experience. And so I'm actually pretty excited to see how it goes.
I would agree with you too, Ryan. Like Shield Shield agents are not my favorite, but looking at some of these, how they're gonna play a little different, and I think for me they feel really thematic. Like scenario one will go into, you'll gain information to go into scenario 2 to get through that first level of infiltrating, to get to level 3 to, do this. It's going to feel really kind of flowing, almost like Red Skull did for me. Everything kind of flowed right into the next. And
yeah. I think one thing I really liked with Next Evolution was I really liked the flow, like you mentioned, the progression of the scenarios, how it just felt like it was a natural progression. It didn't get like super hard in the beginning and then super easy at the end. It kind of all tried to stay at a good pace throughout the scenario. And I kind of think these might do the same a little bit, just based off what we've read. It sounds like there's going to be some pacing on how you're going through it. The alert level with Batroc, and these holding cells with MODOK, and these whatever you call it, the minions from Thunderbolts, healing and just kind of staying out. You have to slowly take them out. I think there might be some good pacing with this box. I'm really hoping that these villains have solid pacing to be an enjoyable experience.
I agree, and I hope as well. I got 2 final questions for you, Ryan.
All right.
They mention, well, let me do my other one first. Do you feel like this is a transitional wave, or do you think this would be the start of a new series of boxes?
I'm gonna guess a transitional wave.
Okay, and by transitional,
like
just make sure we both understand, like a one and done.
Yeah, it's gonna be Sinister Motives, and then it's gonna start its next big thing. If it doesn't, I can kind of see how you can try to blend it in with maybe like the street level. Maybe Fantastic Four, because of all the AIM stuff. Maybe you can kind of blend those together with Mr. Fantastic somehow.
Do you want my hot take, Ryan?
All right, give me your hot take.
I think it will be like a pseudo of both. It'll be a transition into, well, not really like a, it'll be a transition, but it'll transition within like the same realm. So in the article, the one thing that I picked up on is they talked a lot about Inhumans.
Oh yes, I was going to mention that.
And they can go straight into like an Inhumans wave, probably pretty easy. Since they're kind of introducing Inhumans as in this box.
How much Inhumans do you know? Because I really don't know.
So there's the big like core Inhuman people, but so you're talking about like your Black Bolt, Medusa, Karnak, and what Crystal. There's a couple other, Fishman or whatever his name is.
There's always a Fishman.
Right. And then so you have like Maximus is like one of the big bad. It's like the brother or stepbrother or something of Black Bolt. And then so Quake is a Inhuman. Like that's some of the connection from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Inhumans. So there's definitely material out there to create a whole wave of like Inhumans. That's where Lockjaw comes from.
Yeah.
So
interesting. Black Bolt as a hero. He just has one card, and it's just open his mouth.
It's called Whisper, right?
100 damage.
You're dead.
Whisper's sweet yeah. I could see the Inhumans. I did notice you were right. There's several Inhumans a part of this, and so did you have another question? I have one question to close out.
That was my 2 things.
Okay.
So
my question is, out of these 4 that they revealed, which villain are you most excited for?
I have like 2 answers. I am interested in how that Black Widow is going to play with all the preparations, but then the Thunderbolt one, to me looks like the most playable, and I'm looking forward to the most to see kind of how it's going to function.
Gotcha. I think that's a really fair answer.
How about you?
I don't know. I'm interested in the Batroc one because the way the main scheme is, how you're trying to get through it. So I feel like this might be the more story element in that aspect of them. And I kind of like the idea of the alert level, trying to keep it kind of be sneaky and stuff.
Yeah,
So
I can definitely see that.
try to get captives and stuff like that. I think it might have some interesting things, but honestly, I'm kind of excited for all of them.
That one reminds me of like Assassin's Creed, how like it benefits you to sneak around, but you don't have to. It just makes everything harder.
Yeah. Fair assessment.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
We want to hear your thoughts on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Are you excited? Are you not excited? Did you contribute to Ryan's homework that he did? And are you more excited for the heroes or the villains, I guess, of this box or potential wave? Let us know. Hit us up at marvelchampionspod@gmail.com or reach out to us on some other social media way. And as always, if you want to go from a chump to a champ, listen to the Marvel Champions podcast. Thanks.
Are you the mole?
No.